counter pressure closed system keg filling. What the fuck's that even mean? I don't know, let's find out. So what are we doing today? We're basically pushing our beer in an oxygen-free closed environment, meaning we're minimizing any contamination, we're minimizing oxidation, and we're just making really fucking good beer. So first of all, you want your beer cold, ideally between 32 and 38 degrees. What this does is it basically speeds up the entire clarification process, especially if you added a clarifier. It also minimizes the risk of oxidizing your beer. Warmer beer, the higher the risk of oxidation. So you'll need two different connections going to your CO2, one that goes to your fermenter and one that goes to your keg. You can see the one that goes to fermenter is really just a hose that fits into a bung. It's that easy. So my exact setup is here. You can see that basically one CO2 line is going to my keg and the other CO2 line is going into my fermenter. Pro tip, use isopropyl alcohol on your bung to sanitize it. It dries quickly so it doesn't slip out as you're trying to pressurize. And finally, make sure that your pressure is very, very low. These are not designed to actually do this, so be very careful. The goal is to lightly pressurize your fermenter while even ever so slightly pressurizing your keg. That way when you connect the two, there's less pressure in the keg, forcing the fluid from the fermenter to basically go into the keg. It's the whole counter pressure thing. You're venting off a little bit to control the flow rate, etc., etc. I'll show you in a second. Before we do that though, however, you want to make sure that you purge your keg. So that's what I'm doing right now. I've got my CO2 hooked up, it's at like 1 psi, and my PRV is just ever so slightly unscrewed. Do this for about 5 minutes or until you smell it and it kind of burns your nose. Afterwards, I just close it off and let it pressurize, and then I go ahead and open up the valve on my fermenter and let that pressurize as well. Again, we're only at like maybe 1 or 2 psi, so be very careful. But the first thing you want to do is go ahead and connect your liquid line. And I just purged it because I didn't transfer to a secondary in this, so I had a bunch of hop matter right in the bottom there. And of course, before you make your connection, make sure you sanitize. I forgot to show it, but you do want to pull on your PRV just for like a half second to relieve some of that pressure. That way, when you connect your liquid line, your liquid will start immediately flowing. Now after a few seconds, the pressure is going to equalize and the liquid will stop flowing. At that point, unscrew your PRV and let it slowly hiss. Filling by weight makes this way easier because you can see what the flow rate is, whether or not it's flowing, and of course you can tell when your keg's full. Now I didn't exactly have 5 gallons in my fermenter, so I want to make sure that my second keg wasn't completely empty. So I stopped my first keg just a little short of where it should have been. And now I'm going through the entire process of basically setting up that second keg. So purge with CO2, reconnect the liquid line, open that PRV slightly, and we're on our way. If at any point your fill rate slows down or even stops, adjust your PRV just to open it up slightly, and if it still doesn't move, you might have a block. So disconnect your liquid line, go ahead and purge it again, and you should be good to go. Now whenever filling, you always want to make sure that you try and keep all of the crap in the fermenter, so I'm just ever so slightly tilting it, keeping an eye on where the trub is, where the hops are. I'm just trying to get all of that liquid out of there. Once you're full, disconnect everything, and you're ready to carb. Anyways, like and subscribe, and cheers people, thank you very much.